Hello everyone. So I'm just going to go into some details of the new all-in-one tiny timer. So here you can see the timer board by itself. This particular one has nothing added to it. It's just the timer. So if I switch it on, you see that the two lights blink. So that's telling you now the red light flashing is armed. This yellow light just says that the timer is on. If I press this button, you'll see the two lights will flash, counting down 5 seconds, and the band burner will burn. Okay, so a little puff of smoke there. So that's how the timer functions using this little push button. For charging, I just flip this little switch. Now it's in charging mode. I can plug a USB cable into the slot here. So just make sure I go the right way. Plug the USB cable into my computer. And you can see here that the green light is on, so the timer is charged. If it was charging, the red light would be on. Okay, so that's simply, so to charge it you would just plug simple micro USB cable into the timer and away it goes. Unplug that. Okay, so that's how the timer functions. Now what I've done is I've added a couple of additional things to this. So one of the things you can see here is that this timer has this little jack right here. That is for a remote start switch. And so there are some options there. The standard option is a typical larger switch, press button switch. These are nice because they're bigger, so I could supply that attached to a cable which plugs into the timer, and then you can run that switch to whatever location you want to have a switch on the outside of your model. So you can basically build that into the side of the model with the wires going off on the inside and running to the timer. And that way you can press the button to start the timer, and then when you see the double flash, you're like, okay, and you release it, and off it goes with the timer running. Another option for folks who don't like buttons, or for people flying gliders, is this. So this thing is a magnetic reed switch. It's a little glass cylinder with a tiny, with two little plates in there. And when I place a magnet up against this glass cylinder, it activates the switch. It closes the gap between the two plates and essentially acts exactly the same as pressing the button. When the magnet gets pulled away, the timer starts. So for example, you could have this wired into your model, built into the outside of the model so that it sits up against the tissue or whatever, your mylar or whatever you're using. And then on the outside of the model, you just pop a magnet up against it. It could be a magnet attached to your toe line, or it could be a magnet attached to your wrist with a little bit of thread, whichever. And then as you launch the model, or as the toe line drops away, the magnet pulls off of the switch and the timer starts. So those are the two external switch options I have now for this timer. Both work fine. The next thing I wanted to show you is the new mounting system. So I figure a lot of people will want a modular way to mount this timer, so that you can put it in a model, use it all day, or use it for a few flights and then take it out and put it in the next model to use it in that model for a few flights, without having to change anything. Okay. So what this is a 3D printed little case. And what's done here is it screws in. I've screwed it into the case. I've threaded it with a 1.2 mil tap, and then use 1.2 mil little screws to screw the timer plate into, well, the timer board into this little mounting plate. You can see that you can still access the switch to switch it from charge to fly. All you do is you get a little piece of wire or a screwdriver and you just flip the switch, and you can still get at the start button if you don't want to use an external switch. If you prefer an external switch, you can still plug it in on the back side there. This one has also got one other thing I've rigged. This one has the RDT jack soldered into it. In this case on the front, so that the RDT electronics would plug in on the outside of the model. I can just as easily make this on the inside. So for example, here's an example of the same thing, but with the RDT jack on the inside. Okay. The way this system works is that this is your timer, and then you could have 10 different models, and each of those models has this little mounting plate glued into, a convenient location. And you want to set it up so that you can see that there's like a little recess here on the inside of the timer mounting plate, and there's a little step on the actual timer plate itself. So the idea is that this is mounted in the model, and then you bring this over and you say, all right, I want to fly this model, so I'm just going to slide my timer plate in, press down, and it'll lock into place. Click, there you go. And so now it's hooked in, and I can very easily lift it out this way if I want. It's got kind of like a snug fit. It's like a tight-ish fit, but it's not very tight. And this way, when I hook up the rubber band onto this hook here to go back to the DT, it's pulling the timer plate down into itself. It's not tending to pull it out. So the whole system will stay nice and snug and secure. If you want to be doubly sure, you could put like a little rotating flap that rotates across the end of the board right there to prevent it from coming out after the band has been burned and the DT line has been released. That might be especially useful if you're mounting it on the bottom of a model. Or you could just have like a little strap that goes across, just a rubber band and a little hook there and a little hook there and a rubber band that goes across, which prevents this from popping out. It doesn't come out super easy. Like I would feel fairly comfortable just having this in the model. So that is how it works. And so what you would get if you order the timer with this mounting system is this is kind of the mounting kit. Okay, so you've got so I would, if you order this, I can send you this kit by itself. The only issue is if you have a raw timer like this and you want to install it into one of these, you have to bend the hook straight and sort of maneuver these, the nichrome and the pair of hooks through that hole there. It's possible. I've done it. I did it with this one, and then just bent the hook back into its position for actual function. So probably what most of you will do is order the timer with the mounting plate, in which case it'll come installed just like this, and with a set of these little mounting rings. So I'll send you 5 of these, and the timer mounted in a plate, and so then all you have to do is glue this into your model, and you can essentially drop the timer right in there and go fly. Super simple. I think this might be the simplest, most modular single function timer system around. Okay, so that's how it works. Alright, so here I'm going to just demonstrate how the timer can be installed. So the timer is just going to drop into that frame. I need to plug in the switch to just make sure I get it the right way. So there you go, there's the reed switch plugged into the timer. Now if I can flip that around, so now this end with the little tab here goes in first, like that, and then this gets pressed into the frame. Hopefully it'll go in this time. Oh, did I make it? Of course, now that I glued it, there we go. You see it presses in nicely. And that is a friction fit. Okay. It's installed. Right? It can't come out. Like, I don't need anything else to hold this in now. It's in there for good. All right, and I'm going to hook up the DT line. So there's the DT line hooked up to the stab. And that's just direct. There's no mousetrap or anything. It's just DT line with a little rubber band is hooked directly to the band burner. And so now, right now the timer is not on. It's in charge mode. So if I wanted to charge this timer, I could plug in my... There you go. So now it's charging. You can see the red light is flashing, showing that it's charging. And with time, this will switch to green. So this one is only like half charged. I'm going to unplug it. So that's how you would charge the model. You could like literally charge it off your cigarette lighter in your car. Okay, unplug that. You do want to make this pretty robust and make it strong enough so that you can push on the face of the timer and the stress can be transferred through to the other side of the model. So this whole part of the model should be fairly strong so that you can push and pull and sort of work with the model, right? If it's incredibly fragile, the pressure you need to push the timer, the charger in would potentially damage the model. So this needs to be good and strong. If I had an RDT unit, I would plug that in so that it plugs into this three pin header here, and it would project forward with a little antenna sort of right up against the side of the model. So lower drag, and the air pressure would keep the thing pinned in rather than allowing it to like fall out. And you can also have like a little keeper string to make sure it doesn't fall off. I can't find my RDT unit right now, but so otherwise I have it plugged in for you. So then, switching the timer on from charge to fly, I just take my fine screwdriver and flip the switch. So now the timer is on. Okay, and you can see that the red light is flashing, so that just means it's armed. So now I say, okay, I've wound the model, I'm ready to go fly. So attach this little magnet to the reed switch. The model is flying. And DT activates. If you have RDT, the system has a sort of a double failsafe in the sense that you could have your RDT plugged in here. You don't need to activate anything in the case with RDT. With RDT, all you do is you press your transmitter button, and the timer can be just like this. This is completely asleep. There's no light showing except for the on light over there. And you could press the RDT and the burner will activate. The timer functions using a magnetic reed switch. So this is a magnet on a tether. This could be around my wrist, for example, so that as I launch the model, the magnet gets pulled away. So the timer, you can see the timer is flashing, so it's armed, it's ready to go. All it needs is for the switch to be pressed. In this case, I could press this button and hold it for 2 seconds, or I could attach the magnet to the reed switch down here. You can see I've also added a little teeny metal tab. So that's just a piece of X-Acto knife blade broken off and glued to the surface, and that just helps. It just gives the magnet something to grab onto right adjacent to the switch. Right, it still activates the switch, but holds on a bit tighter. So it can't just fall off as you're sort of turning around or looking for lift or whatever, or getting ready to launch. Okay, so you're going to now see me attach the magnet. You see the timer is now flashing, it's armed. And now I can get ready to launch. Think about, okay, so here I am, all right, ready to go, and launch. And see the magnet pulled away, timer's running, burn the band, model DT'd. Okay, so that's basically how it works with the magnetic reed switch. And of course, this could be a tow line glider, you'd have a hook. This magnet would still be attached to the model here. and the line here would be attached to the hook, and then as the hook drops away, the magnet gets pulled off and the timer starts. Obviously you want to test it to make sure that the magnet isn't so strong that it holds the model attached to the line, right? You want the magnet to be weak enough that the weight of the line or even a small tug from you pulls the magnet away so that the timer starts and the model goes on its way. Alright, thanks for watching.